think welcome everyone. Thank you for being on time. This is being recorded. We hope that's okay. It's our first workshop that we are recording. We've found in the past a few people have come in late and missed a few minutes. So this has been the request. We hope this doesn't deter you in any way from joining in some of the conversations we have throughout the hour. We have Hannah with us as well. So we'll make a start. I'm going to share my screen and we'll get going. Thank you. Okay, here we go. Is that good, Tiffany? Oh, I'm not sharing it. Nope, not doing it.
Just press slideshow, I think.
There we go. Okay. Well, welcome everyone. Tiffany and I would like to welcome you to the P4 workshop, cross-curricular workshop combining science and English language arts. We called it adaptation and elaboration, as we'll be focusing on the ways animals have adapted to their environments, and also looking at how we use powerful and descriptive language in ELA.
All right, good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Tiffany Bean. I'm not going to go through this whole slide with you, but I'm a wife, mother of 2 young boys, lover of coffee and traveling. I'm the P4 teacher at Purvis, along with my co-teacher, I see her here, Britta Wilkinson-Burke. I've been teaching for about 7 years now, so still fairly new. I know I have some veterans on here, but I have been enjoying the learning journeys from Ben since they've started, and I'm excited to collaborate with you guys and to make teaching and learning exciting.
Great. And I guess maybe in between, 13 years teaching, not quite sure what that makes me. Primary school teacher. I've taught in some different countries. I've taught international curriculums as well as local curriculums in the UK and Australia. I first worked with Ben actually in 2019. I met Becky at grad school and we bonded over a love of children's literature actually. And I came out here, I was studying human development and psychology. I'm really interested in learning more about why we are the way we are and how that impacts our education. And so I helped to run a teacher wellness retreat. And obviously I loved Bermuda and I loved meeting Bermudian teachers. And so it's been a real joy to be back on board and working with the network teachers in designing some cross-curricular lessons that will hopefully be useful to you. And we'd love to hear your input as well as we go along. Tiffany, did you want to?
It's a white screen, Sally.
White, is it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, here we go. All right, so our workshop today, we're going to be focusing around the book Moon. I think everyone has their copy with them, hopefully. And we're going to just be discussing how we can use the mentor text just to guide us through our habitat unit. And I know it's tough. We really don't get a chance to collaborate often as year level teachers. So this is great. This is no way us just leading the conversation. So please, if you have any input, you would like to contribute some ways that you taught some of these lessons in the past, absolutely, please unmute yourself and contribute to the discussion. And just out of curiosity, has anyone finished their habitat unit yet or started? I know we're all on different pages right now. Started.
Yeah, I just finished mine.
Finished, okay.
Yeah, I'm about halfway through.
Halfway through, all right.
And started.
Have not started. See, so I know with the pandemic and classes being out, we're all on different pages. So this information would be great. Those of you who haven't started, the perfect way to start. Or if you finish, you could definitely use it for next year.
Mm-hmm. We were also thinking as well that because this book is just such a lovely read aloud, it might be an opportunity for you to revisit some of the learning you've done. And looking at the various habitats in this book. I also just wanted to quickly say Horizons, our project, the Ben collaboration with organizations and schools, you may have heard of it. It used to work primarily with the P5s across the island, but last year, took a different approach, and we're now working in P2, P3, P4, and P5. And so there's going to be, you know, more workshops coming and definitely more collaborations with the educational organizations across the island.
All right, so we are lucky enough to have Ms. Hannah Horsfield with us today from BUEI, and she's going to talk with us a bit about what BUEI has to offer P4s. She's going to talk about her habitat units that she offers, as well as, I think she said, sound.
Yeah.
All right, Hannah, I'll give it to
Hi,
you.
good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, my name is Hannah Horsfield. I'm the education program coordinator here at BUEI. And in November and December, we did Habitats and Caring for the Environment. I did virtual classes with a couple of teachers I recognize some faces. And yeah, it went well. We broke it down into 2 Zoom classes. And the first one was really touching on the habitats and the animals that live in the habitats around Bermuda. And then the second one was really the threat. So we looked at, you know, the threat with hurricanes, and then it was threats with hurricanes, pollution, and also ocean acidification, and things that the kids couldn't really do much about, we touched on. And then we talked about plastic. So I had this book, The Planet Full of Plastic, and so this was handed out to the teachers, and I got good feedback from it. We really enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed seeing all their faces, but of course it's better in person. If we do hopefully in future going forward, we can do it in person, and that way we can really tie in an experiment. So the next unit that I have coming up is a sound lab. And so we'll do the class, which will probably be virtual. And then I have a box of supplies that can be collected by the school with actual experiments and like a kit in it that you can do with your students. And then we do a follow-up class where you either come on site or again on virtual, just depending on what our restrictions are. And so I'm offering that up as well as I can do the Habitats and Caring for the Environment again for any teachers that feel that they would benefit from it. If you want to get in touch with me, my email is programs with 2M.
Great, and we can share that out at the end.
Okay, yeah, programs@buei.bm though, if you're looking to get in touch with me. But yeah, it was a good one, and I got some good feedback, and I think the students enjoyed it. Yeah, so I'm here as a useful tool.
Hannah, something that came up for me that I noticed was as well, like your expertise on Bermuda, and to have that context for the students as well, like knowing all the plants and animals and how they survive and what's been endangered, I think is really the hook into their interest, right? Because it's their own backyard and it's their home. And I think that then actually really lends itself to when we then use this book Moon, because Moon has habitats in it that many are not familiar with, you know, like these cold climates, and that you don't have to experience in Bermuda. So I think the combination of having a real immersion into the Bermudian environment just ties in nicely with this more the global piece as well.
Yeah, and I mean, Bermuda has such a rich biodiversity of creatures that have been introduced that were already here. And so, yeah, just getting the kids to really have a look at some of the animals that we have around us and where they've come from can be quite interesting. So, yeah, if any of you are interested in doing that, I am happy to provide that class again to anybody. And then also the sound unit is the next one. I think that's in March or something.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? I can't see people, unfortunately, because of the way it works with my shared screen, but does anyone have any questions for Hannah?
Sorry, Hannah, I'm just looking. I see that you say you've got a link here for a planet full of plastic, which we obviously can't click on. Can you just YouTube search that? Or is there like a special place for it?
Oh, it's a book called Planet Full of Plastic.
Yes, but it says here, it says that there's a link of Neil reading it.
Okay.
Yes, you'll get that link. So we'll be sharing these slides in the lesson plans after the presentation. So they'll be available on the BEN website.
Okay. Great.
Allowed, and we're going to order more books for you for next year as well. So you'll have them for your class.
Oh, great. Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you. Thank you, Hannah. Hannah's busy with camp.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God.
So, we'll let
Yeah,
you go.
Okay, great. Well, it was lovely to see all you guys. Have a good one. Yeah, enjoy the holiday next week. I'll have probably some of your students in my camp. Okay.
Thanks, Hannah.
Care.
Thanks. Okay, let's go on. So we were thinking, we just wanted to recap, and we know we all know this, but just this idea of the cross-curricular aspect and linking science to the ELA as well as the geography, like why do we do it? And we know really that the thematic teaching can enable the deeper learning. Hopefully you'll notice in the lessons we've provided, while they're kind of more ELA lessons, some of the activities, well, a lot of the activities are really science-based. And we've also thought about how this can really help students' reading comprehension, in that a lot of the books we read in class are often set in habitats or environments that our students are not familiar with. It can be the same if a child grows up. For example, I'm from Australia. If you're teaching in rural Australia and it's a book about sailing, the child really doesn't understand any of the language like associated with the sailing topic. And I think the same can go for habitats, right? Like if we're not familiar with them. So hopefully we're building up a vocabulary here as well. And just this idea that, our students know obviously that the world is not broken into subjects and everything is really linked. And hopefully, especially with the pandemic, we're all really tight for time. And so hopefully this is a way where we can teach more in fewer hours by combining subjects. So now actually everyone, we're just going to give you a couple of minutes, like 3 or 4 minutes, doing good for time. We wanted to give you the opportunity to actually have a read of Moon yourself. So hopefully your books were all delivered. And so, yeah, we'll just invite you to spend 3 or 4 minutes reading the book, having a look at those illustrations. There's a lot in here actually. And then we might just ask for some thoughts. Would anyone like to share any responses they've had, things they noticed, what they've seen?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
This is Mrs. Bean. I just want to say that I'm happy that I got the book, but didn't pay much attention to it. So you asking us to take a look right now, I love that. And I'm sort of like that. Well, that's sort of me with my personality. I must say, I don't want a lot of clues given. I want to have the full experience of something new on my own. So immediately the cover with the cutout, I mean, that just grabbed me. Like I was just excited by that. And I'm thinking that the author and illustrator is the same person. So she did an awesome job just grabbing my attention right away with that cutout.
Yeah. Great, thanks. That's actually a theme of her book. She has a few others. They're called, like you can see on that title, that peek through. So yeah, check her out. Thank you for sharing.
I got the book this morning from my principal, Hides, Miss Cooper, and I showed it to my kids because we're actually making habitats in shoe boxes. So all my kids have picked an animal. We've been writing an information report on it. So we broke it down. They got a hook, how you got hooked into the animal that you want. And then I gave them topics to choose from. So it wasn't so broad. So they had appearance, diet, habitat, and there was a few other little subtopics. So what they did was they changed their table of contents to make it be like one person's doing a Komodo dragon, and it was like, did you know Komodo dragons are more like a big giant lizard? So they put all of their stuff together. Now we're getting ready. So when I showed them this book this morning, especially the girl that's doing the polar bears and the little boy doing the beluga whale, they were so excited when they saw the penguin part. They were like, oh my gosh, they, gave them an idea to paint their boxes. So hopefully tomorrow that will be our next step with the art teacher to kind of get the boxes painted so it looks like the habitats.
I love that idea of habitat boxes.
So we've tied it with our informational report along with the habitat and science.
Perfect.
Nice. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I concur with the teachers before me, but what really caught my attention was the peek through pages of the moon's changing shape through the lunar cycle. I thought that was very exciting to me, and I'm sure the children will be excited with it. I just got the book myself yesterday. I believe someone dropped it off to the school. Thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to using it in the classroom.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. As I'm sitting here looking at the book, it just came to mind because my students were gaining information so they were using Google to gain knowledge about different habitats around the world. And so I see we can make a connection to this book to where we can identify the habitats that are in the book based on the knowledge that they have gained with their independent studying. So I'm looking forward to using the book with them.
Nice. That's really great to hear. We were thinking this as we were planning the lessons, really trying to make it in such a way that it would be helpful at whatever part you are at in the unit. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Good afternoon. Sorry. Good afternoon. I just, I agree with everyone else, what they've shared, but looking through a social studies lens, looking how it progresses from different places around the world, different continents around the world, it can definitely be connected to why on one of the pages it talked about the birds migrating or moving to a warmer climate. So definitely lots of different things that can be picked up from this, but from an ELA standpoint, just the first page, starting off with a question. I think that's something that we've discussed with students before on how to grab the attention of the reader and make them think by using a question. And whether they can answer it or not in their head, and they'll continue reading if they want to know more.
Thank you for sharing that. And we actually mentioned a few of those things going through it. We provide some like additional ideas, and the idea of the birds migrating and actually learning more about that. Absolutely, we've put in could be in its own separate project idea, either as an extension or an area of interest. And that hook at the beginning, right? Absolutely, it's getting the children thinking.
I think Miss Bean, you have your hand up.
Yes, I also like the fact that the print or the story is written in poetry verse.
Poetry, yeah.
So yes, making that connection when we do teach poetry. So this is a book that we could use specifically just for that.
Absolutely.
You know, when we did a P5 workshop at the end of last term called Poetry and Pollination, and it was using another of Britta's books, very similar to this, well, the same essentially, but it was called Bee, and it was about the life of a bee. And P5 actually, yes, we linked it to their poetry unit because of the way she writes. So I love that, yeah, you could do that here. Well, teachers, we could keep going and please chime in. I think we might make a start on our first lesson. Tiffany, did you want to kind of?
Yeah, I think it's just a link now. You might have to switch to the next slide.
Oh, it should. I'm pressing it here. I don't know if it's my internet.
Here we go. Yep, lesson 1.
Okay, let me just go. Maybe the slideshow thing overloads it. I'm not sure. Is that? Can you see it?
Yeah. Can everyone see that?
Okay.
All right.
Yes, yes.
Perfect. All right. So the first lesson that we put together is basically just how we got you to tell us what you were thinking and what you were wondering. So you would do the same thing with your students. So you would go through, read the book, and then use the Seedthink Wonder technique. Is anyone familiar with that technique? So we do have another slide if you're not, that will be available to you on how to use the Seedthink Wonder routine. But basically you're asking the students, so you would start with the cover and just ask them, what do you see? What are you thinking about when you're looking at the front cover? And then what are you wondering? So they get a chance to discuss with their classmates things that they are seeing, things that they're wondering. So if someone might say, okay, well, I see that there are tons of animals that are awake at night. So that makes me wonder, well, which animals are nocturnal, which animals aren't? And then they can have a nice discussion about the things that they're thinking, wondering. And then once you've finished that, we do have some, can you go to the next slide, Sally? Or is it down? So we have some activities for them to do, and these are really great. So these activities, we have an animal habitat matchup. So there are resources for that, where basically they will go around and match the animals to their habitats. So you can print them out, pardon?
Yeah, go for it. Sorry, keep going. Yep.
Okay. So you can print Sally will show you, I think she's going to go and show you the resources. So you can print these resources out. I would laminate them because I know they probably wouldn't last long in my classroom if I did it. So I would laminate the resources and just have the students in centers and have them go around and match the habitat, the animals to the specific habitats.
Great.
Can you also have,
this one?
No, it's white. Oh, here we go. Yeah. So those would be the animals, and then
that would be the habitat.
That would be the habitat. Yep. So you can print them out, cut out the animals, laminate them if you wanted to, and just have the students working in their centers, like I said, and match the specific animals to the habitat. We also have some habitat riddles. So I am a habitat that's made up of mostly water and plants. These are all in centers. Hopefully your classrooms are able to are set up in ways that you can use centers. But these are just some examples. We have a virtual habitat walkthrough, which I thought was amazing. So we have some links there that actually take you to some habitats around the world, which is great because, Bermuda is so limited, where they can go on their Chromebooks, or if you have a computer in your classroom, and they can actually do a virtual walkthrough of a specific habitat. Sally, did you want to share one?
I'd love to. Yeah. One of the things we've also tried to do for this workshop, teachers, is we've created all the resources for you, and they've taken a long time, but we hope they're helpful because as I can't see, the teacher was saying earlier, just going on Google and doing that research, it takes a lot, right? A lot of time, a lot of sifting through, finding age appropriate. So we've kind of tried to do as much of that for you to be helpful. Here, for example, is one of the links. Another one is of Taronga Zoo from Sydney, where you can go in. And I know a lot of zoos around the world created webcams over COVID so that students could still do these virtual trips. Here's a trip here that we're just going to show you as an example. We'll just show you a minute or two. I'm sure we could all quite enjoy watching this for an hour, but we'll just watch 30 seconds or so. Okay, so that's an example. And so that could be one of your centers as well.
Mm.
Tiffany, I'm just going to go back to this first slide. Can you see that?
Yep.
Hello?
Yes, we can see.
Yep. We've also gone by your standards as well. So hopefully this is helpful as well when we've created the learning targets, learning intentions, to meet those. And just starting by recapping on what a habitat is. And again, the social studies teacher talking about those different projects, you know, even this idea of animals that are nocturnal or not, that can be something to think about. This is also a great website. I won't click on it now. I've put a link here, but Britannica, many of you may be familiar with it. It's an excellent site. It's essentially encyclopedias online. Very reliable, excellent definitions, and very child-friendly. Tiffany, can you just, has anyone heard of Britannica? Like, can you just see a show of hands? Is it?
Let me see. Oh, I see. Yeah, Shayla has her hand up. Yeah, Chris.
Yep.
Yep. So it looks like we have some.
Yep, great. So that's a good one there as well. And then we thought to finish off that lesson after the centers, just doing some sharing out. You know, just share what they've learned. Also, just, you know, that idea of, well, has anything puzzled you? Anything you're not sure about, and something you can be thinking about for next lesson. And just some leading questions that lead into, because we're going to be moving into adaptations. So in preparation for the next lesson, ask students to think about, well, what features do the animals have that help it live successfully in its environment?
Yep.
Right?
And also we have the extension question there as well, which is great. So we have the WOLD TIB success criteria and the extension. So all the work is done for you. So hopefully that's helpful. Shayla, I see your hand up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to share, when you played the video from the virtual field trips website, Yellowstone Park, a lot of the national parks in the United States, I wouldn't say a zoo because it's not a natural habitat, but Yellowstone Park is one that I've used before, where they have the live cams, real time. And just by chance, I let it run for like an entire afternoon just to see what we would come across, and they got to see bears walking and going in the water and like washing off and trying to catch fish. It's pretty cool.
Wow, that's great.
That's really cool. Thank you for sharing. And you're right, you know, you're right. The zoo is not a natural habitat. So that might be one that you choose not to use. Yeah, good point. Yep, thank you. Did anyone else want to share anything that they?
I think Miss Bean has her hand up too.
Also, I think it was 2 weeks ago on 60 Minutes, they had a piece about the reintroduction of wolves to Yellowstone National Park.
Yeah.
So, you know, making this connection to current events. It was really, I like watching 60 Minutes. So it was a really interesting piece, you know, and now we're talking about this with our children, so making them aware of what's happening.
Was that the one, how the wolves changed the rivers?
No, it was talking about the fact that at one time wolves were extinct in America, and then I forget what year they started this, but recently they have been reintroduced. I don't know, a couple of years ago, you know, they started off with a couple of wolves. And so now they have, I don't want to quote a number, but I think they're like close to 1,000 now. And they've also worked with people nearby, because they have strayed to, I forget the nearby state, but they have strayed, but they have also been working with farmers so that they can be aware. So they don't they actually have a specific law or something where the farmers can shoot like a certain number just to help to keep down the population. But they're working hand in hand, and they've really seen the wolves come back into their natural habitat so much that they offer free tour I mean, not free, but tour guides for visitors. This was really during the winter months. Yeah. So it's a big tourist attraction now during the winter months to go and see the wolves live.
Wow. Wow, thank you. Okay.
All right. Let me see. Yep, lesson 2. Okay, so for the second lesson, this is still tying into BI-001. So we are learning to describe the features of a plant or animal that make it suited to this environment and describe how these features help the plant or animal to survive. So this lesson, lesson 2, can be split up into 2 lessons. 2 30-minute lessons, or you can do it in one. It's up to you. So you might start with just saying, last lesson we talked about the different habitats and the animals that live there, ask them what they learned, what they remembered, and then say, today we're going to talk about how each animal is suited to their environment. So Sally found some great clips here on Nat Geo Wild.
Yes, because they're short. It might be just little fillers, either possibly at the end of the day or before lunchtime. That's just an idea for you before going into this main part here. Tiffany, did you want to pick up on the main session?
Yep. Yeah, sure. So for the main, we have there that you can explain to the students that they're going to pick an animal from the book Moon. So when you went and look through, you'll see there's tons of animals in there. So they can pick one of those animals, and then they can draw the animal in their habitat and then label the ways that it has adapted to its environment, so to its habitat. So we have a resource. You want to show the resource pack?
I will, yes. Now, I'd like to give a big thanks to Steph as well, who's helped on this. I knew from speaking to Tiffany that resources are quite hard to find, the information text. So what we've done is we've found out a lot of information. So we went through the book and noted all the animals that are in the book, and then we researched different ways that they've adapted to their environment. And then we put it into this pack. So I put 2 on a slide here. This pack will be available to you as well in PDF format for you to download. And we'd love to think of it as a resource for you. We've done about 3 or 4 bullet points per animal, so hopefully it's manageable for you. So for example, here we've got some of the animals from the desert. So the teacher who was talking about the penguins and things, here's a little bit more information for you.
Yeah, and there's so many different ways that you can use this resource as well. So we have some examples on the lesson plan. So you can actually enlarge these if you can, or if you could, and have them around your classroom and do somewhat of a gallery walk.
Yeah.
And have the children just go around, decide which animal they're going to choose. And then it ties in nicely with grammar because you're teaching them how to summarize, right? So they can go take notes, jot down notes about what they're noticing about each animal, what features they have to help it adapt to its habitat. Or you can make it a group, in-class group project, put them in groups, have them decide which animal they're going to pick, put them in their groups, and then collectively they could create some sort of informational poster on the animal and label its adaptations. So there are so many different ways that you can use that resource.
Would anyone like to share anything that's come to their mind as they've kind of had a look at, well, it was a very brief look admittedly, but anything that you've tried or might do with that resource? An idea that I had as well was that you could cut it up. So say, for example, you've got some students doing or one student doing a scorpion, you could just cut that scorpion section out and give it to that student. Just break it down, or you could even use it as one of your habitat centers. Yeah, but we hope that's useful to you. And then to finish off, so we've just put an example in, hopefully helping you, like, labeling of the polar bear. And we thought at the end you could do a pair share, or the teacher could put groups together so they could teach each other about the animal that they've been researching. And then here, this clip, I won't go into it now, but it's BBC Earth. So again, it's a very reliable source. It's actually 20 minutes long, top 5 animal adaptations. Very engaging. I'm sure, you know, who isn't a BBC Earth fan? And very child friendly. So that could be something you might want to ask your students to watch at home, or again, you might, however you might want to use that resource.
We just touching on the extension activity as well. So we also have an extension for those children who are finished early or you do want to give it out. So advertise your habitat. If you were trying to sell your home, how would you describe it? So that's an opportunity for them to describe their habitat. They're trying to sell it to another animal. So that's fun and engaging activity for them to do as well.
And I'm thinking about those habitat boxes. I'm wondering, I think this could tie itself really nicely to that as well. Yeah, make it 3D. So here, just again, the packs. Tiffany and I talked quite a lot about the language used here. And we know that students actually, when it comes to animals, some students are so advanced in their knowledge, right? When we talk about thermoregulation, you know, with for example, these ears, these desert animals have quite large ears to help keep their temperature down. Just like I learned just on that polar bear poster, polar bears have quite small ears so that they don't. So some students will know a lot about that, others will know less. So we've kept the language, we've kept it child friendly. Some might be a little complicated, some maybe not complicated enough, but we know that you can use it how you see fit. And then here are some additional ideas. So again, we've got that birds flying, the migration. There's the moon. We've talked about how the moon phases. I think in P5 that's actually a topic. I was talking to a P5 teacher last night, and I think they actually study the moon. And another project might be to learn about turtles and how they revisit the same beaches that they hatched at. And then, of course, lastly, the last page is about dreaming. So if you're looking to do some creative writing or just a talk in your class, that could be something helpful. Okay.
Yeah. All right, lesson 3 is talking about descriptive language. So we're getting into a writing scale, WRIO2. So we are learning to use a range of specific, powerful verbs and adjectives to help the reader better visualize and enhance meaning. So again, you can use the same resource. And if you have a look in the book, there are tons of powerful verbs and adjectives used in the book. So it's a great learning tool for the students, because you know that's one of our struggles to get them to use a range of words in their writing. So you can read the book again to the students and get them to, you can have a chat about the effect of the descriptive language. So why is it important to use powerful words instead of, you know, the boring verbs and adjectives that we're used to using. And then they can have a chat about sparkling sentences. Is that a term that you guys use in your classroom when we're talking about descriptive writing? Do you guys use sparkling sentences? Do you say that? We just put that in there as an example. Is there another way you say it?
Yeah, I say colorful.
Colorful words. Colorful words, yeah. So same thing, you know, whatever words, language you use in your classroom, sparkling words, colorful words, just getting them to have a look through the book and see what colorful, sparkling words they notice and how they can use that in their writing. And then for their independent work, you can get them to, they can use the inspiration from the book and write a few colorful or sparkling sentences of their own, of an animal of their choice from the book again. So for example, the field mouse scampers here and there, that's in the book. So instead of saying, they said they use the word scamper, right? So we're trying to get them to use those interesting verbs and adjectives to get them to pick their animal and describe it using those interesting verbs and adjectives.
Yeah, and this could be fun. They might even swap. So say in the previous lessons, someone has decided to research an owl, and the person next to them was researching a penguin, they might decide to swap over and come up with some colorful sentences about their partner's animal. And just, again, this is building on science vocabulary as well as that, as well as your literacy lesson. And going back to the idea of the question, you know, just they could even hook their reader in with something like that. And if you have thesauruses in the classroom, you know, obviously you can be using them. And we thought to end with, they could do a little bit of a guessing game. So students could read out their work, but leave out the animal. Can other students guess what animal they're talking about? And how were they able to guess? So hopefully they're using some of their science knowledge about the different adaptations these animals have to help them. So that will hopefully be a fun piece there. And then moving on to the last lesson, when we were planning this, Tiffany, you were talking about just, you know, time being short, right, and of the essence, and like Hannah offering the 2 lessons. We thought,
so we combined caring for the environment. So the last lesson you just touch on, and this is great with if you are thinking about doing Hannah's lessons at BUEI, because my class participated, and it was great because she's talked first on the first part of the lesson about the different habitats in Bermuda, and then she talked about the threats. So it ties in nicely with caring for the environment. So this is great. You can even use her resource, Planet Full of Plastic. It's a great resource to use, and just discuss the threats and how human activity can affect habitats and environments. You know, talk about the 3 R's: reduce, reuse, and recycle. And then as an activity, you can get them to create a 3-column poster using your anchor chart paper, and have them decide what things can they reduce, what can they reduce, what can they reuse, what can they recycle. You can even turn it into an at-home project or at-school project, and have them calculate their impact, which is great because it's cross-curricular with math, and calculate how much trash their household might generate in a week or a month. Or they can do that. You can do the same thing in school, have them go around to each classroom. I know with COVID, we're not supposed to be doing that anymore, but we could be creative, and maybe get them to calculate how much trash the school generates in a day, and how can we reduce that amount of waste? How does that waste affect our environment and different animal habitats?
Yeah, something I wanted to share, and I'd be interested to know what experiences you've had as well, teachers, is at a school I worked at in Singapore. We had a soft toy little chimpanzee called Eco Eddie, and he would be awarded to a different class every week at assembly. And so a few children in that class would go around with Eco Eddie, and they'd look at classrooms, you know, at lunchtime and say, have they switched off the lights? You know, have they got reusable paper in a paper tray? You know, just little things like that. And particularly for the younger ones, well, actually, even the older ones, they would start looking at, you know, has the teacher put their computer on save mode? Has the whiteboard been switched off? Just whatever works for your school. That could also be a fun activity. Has anyone here got some ideas they'd like to share about what they do to be eco-friendly at school, or what's popular?
I think there are some eco-friendly schools. I'm not sure which ones they are on the island. They have eco clubs. Any schools have eco clubs? No.
Because we have a few minutes, I'm actually going to bring up this clip so we can just watch the first minute, and you can see what it's like. It's the author, and like I said, we're going to be ordering more books over the summer.
Hello everyone, my name is Neil Layton. I'm a children's book illustrator and author, and seeing as you're sitting here so nicely, I thought it might be quite fun if I read you one of my books. So this is the book I've chosen. It's called A Planet Full of Plastic, and as you can see, it's got my name at the top, Neil Layton, because I'm the illustrator and the author. Okay, you ready? Let's go.
We'll just watch first page.
Planet full of plastic. Hello, you. Who? Me? That's right. Quick question. Do you ever think about what things are made of? Because some things are made of paper, like this book. Some things are made of wood, like the wooden bookshelf behind me. Some things are made of metal, like
He does actually go on to show you the illustrations. So yeah, it's a nice read and it's about 8 minutes long. And so that kind of ties in with that one there. And so that really brings us to the end of the 4 lessons. We kept it to 4 because we want to make it realistic for you. It's not an add-on, it's just, well, it is an add-on obviously, but it's not a whole unit of work. It's just something that you could use to help you and your students. These slides and lesson plans and the resources, all of the information pack and the additional ideas will all be available on this website tomorrow. And we also wanted to just ask, you know, we really want teachers to be sharing their learning like you've done today as well, like just as a starting point. So please do, if you could email any photos of the learning to Steph. And we do just ask, obviously, like, let her know if you'd like to be tagged. And that would be great to share out. We just got some photos actually the other day from one of the teachers from the Poetry and Pollination unit. Her class made fantastic board games using like labeling the different parts of a flower and really fun spinning wheels and all sorts. And I know that like other teachers appreciate those ideas. And so just asking really to keep in touch. We're really trying to build a professional learning community here. And so we'd love to know, you know, when you've given this a go in a couple of months before the end of term, we'll try and arrange another call with you, just a short one, but we'd love to get feedback. Things that went well, things that you think we could change for next year, because we'd like to keep this one going. Adaptations we can make as well with the plans. And that is everything from us. I'm going to stop sharing now so I can see everyone. We do have about 8 minutes left, and I'm going to ask for you to complete a very short Google form. But before I do, does anyone have any questions? We'd love to hear any questions or comments, things that have come up for you. Other ideas? Anything? No? Tiffany, anything comes to mind for you?
Sorry. Thank you for putting this on, and thank you for the resource. It's not always easy trying to find a mentor text, especially this one that can be used in many different subjects that we teach. And we're busy. Teachers are busy. Yes, I appreciate this.
Thank you. On that note, like you said, teachers are busy. Thank you for attending. I really appreciate it. We do not get time to collaborate as much as we would like to, but this is nice to see everybody here. So I really appreciate everyone attending and giving your feedback and suggestions. Really appreciate it.
I do as well. We were planning this. Tiffany was like, I don't know, Sally.
I said, we're busy, we're stretched, everybody's tired. So yeah. Thank you for coming.
So I'm going to quickly type in this. I've put the feedback form there. We'd love to have your feedback. And like we said, if this goes well, we got a good deal on this book. If it goes well, we can definitely get more copies for next year as well for your students and classes. So yeah, if you could just fill this out before you head off. And a big thank you to Steph, who's hiding behind the Ben logo there. Steph delivered the books yesterday, and along with today with Latoya, was it, Steph? So
yeah, Latoya Pearman helped deliver the books to the west of the island.
So thank you very much. And also a reminder, do participate in Hannah's classes. Can I just see show of hands, who did the classes with Hannah, the virtual? She's quite phenomenal. I learned a lot. Yeah, so anything you'd like to add, teachers, to recommend Hannah or something? Yeah. just do it. Do contact her, and also with your sound unit coming up, boxes of resources will be delivered as well. So again, that's just another type of resource that should be helpful for you. But we'll leave it there. Tiffany, thank you.
Yeah.
And
Thank
again,
you.
please fill out the feedback form. We will hound you. So thank you. And Habitat, who was the Habitat boxes? I didn't get to see.
That was Miss, who was that? Is she gone?
Miss Cooper, I
Miss
would love
Cooper.
to see some photos, if that's okay, possibly when they're done, and we can just, share out.
Yes, I'll send them. We're starting them this week. We've our reports, we also did the reports on Google Slides. So I still have a few children that haven't finished their reports. So they're making the Google slide up for the informational text.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So we're gonna present the Google slide and they're gonna have their box.
Nice.
Thank you. Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Enjoy your half term.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.